Yo, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? It is nice to be on stream again. So today we're gonna do a little bit more foreshortening. I'm probably gonna do about like 45 minutes today of that. I'll probably do some clothing as well, and maybe a little bit more anatomy today, just because I didn't get a chance to really practice it the past week. So I got some new references and everything as well, so let's get going here. I'm just gonna turn my music on for myself. Y'all should have music that is different. Alright. Sorry, let me just, I forgot. Let me share this with my Discord. So I'll share that, and then we'll be good to go. Alright, got that shared. Oops. Pull up my gesture drawing course, or not course, but program. Great. Alright, so that's good to go now. And let's see if this is the one I want. Oh. Do I want to do 51 minutes of this? Probably not quite that much, so let's take, yeah, that's better. Okay, so we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. We're gonna do 25 gestures that are going to be dynamic gestures, like foreshortened poses. Let me see, is that going to be, oh, perfect. So I have 34 images that I have found, and we'll do 25 today. So that'll be perfect. And we'll also be able to go into a little bit of other stuff afterwards, and then we'll wrap up. Alright, so let's get started. Hope y'all are all doing well. Hope you're taking care of yourself. Feel a little short, so I'm gonna extend this out this way and bigger. And here as well. And then this arm is coming towards us. Oop, ran out of time. It looks painful. Let me just fix that really fast. Alright. So I probably should have given myself a little bit more time on these, but just because they're almost all new to me. But the danger in doing that is that you end up going too slow. What's there? Okay. It's not quite right. A lot of these too, just so y'all are aware, are going to be like waist up. And that's okay because typically in like manga, when you have like super foreshortened stuff, it's not going to be the entire body that's in the picture. So I'm not too worried about that. Let me erase away some stuff here so it's a little more clear as to what's going on. Okay. So now we're going to go to this one. So we got that in. All right, so that one's good to go. It's another really good one. I find that like the ones from One Punch Man are really, I can't remember the artist's name. Very talented person though. I could probably fix this up a bit. So this is a new one. I really like this one a lot too. So this one is a full body reference. So this is like a mechanical arm, so ends up being much bigger. Which is perfectly fine. Yeah, that one came out pretty cool, I think. Alright, quick break. Alright, so these are my first 5. I feel like they got progressively better as I went. So, and you know, all this stuff is pretty new to me. As far as doing like pretty foreshortened poses. For the gesture drawing. So it's going to take me some time for it to hit a level that's like decent. So this pose is a little less foreshortened than the others, but still has definite like foreshortening elements to it. Alright, so I am gonna do this really fast. Perfect. I just want it to be a little more balanced than it was. This is a really cool pose too. The reason why this pose it works so well is because of there's this massive like twist in the body, as along with a lot of foreshortened elements. So oof, his leg is super long. I'm gonna probably trim that down just a bit here. This is a pose I'm sure I'll end up using quite a bit, just because it's a foreshortened action pose, like a punch pose, so this will be a good one for me to try to memorize in the near future. So let's go here, here, here. This could be a little longer, I think. That's pretty good. Alright. This is a really cool pose too. It's like almost like a Spider-Man type pose. So this cuts off here, so you're not going to see anything else past that. This is also a pretty good one. This one's interesting because the entire body pretty much is being covered. Granted, I don't know if that's accurate or should be accurate. I don't think it should be the entire body, so I'm going to do it given the knowledge that I have as well. It's an interesting one. I'm gonna have to practice that pose. I think what I can do is take this leg back a bit. That one was definitely a little more difficult than I thought it would be. Quick drink break. Hey, how's it going? Ammo Comics. Did you get your layer situation figured out? That was you, right? I can check really fast. No, I can't. Alright, I want to do this pose. So there's like, sorry, this sheet has like, yeah, no problem. This sheet has several poses on it, so I want to pick this one for the stream. Alright. I'm pretty happy with this, but I think that this needs to come forward a bit. So like the one hard part about doing gesture drawing and having it be like super foreshort. Yeah. I'll try to teach as I go. It's gonna be a little difficult because this is something I still struggle with because it's just something I have to work on still. But there's several elements to foreshorten poses. First, you have to have a decent grip on what the anatomy is and like how you simplify your anatomy in general. The second piece is then you want to have another decent understanding about like perspective and how to put like a body somewhat in perspective. And that was something that's like really difficult for me as I was trying to learn anatomy. And it's something I still struggle with a little bit sometimes because I kind of forget every once in a while to think about it. So that's telling me that it's not like in my unconscious mind yet. It's still like something I have to be super conscious about. But like for instance here, the first thing I'm noticing already is that I need to pull this piece back a bit, like to probably about here. And the reason for that is because the perspective wasn't quite right. Sorry, I'm gonna pause this so I can like kind of explain this pose a little bit better because it's hard for me to teach this particular piece as I'm going. Give me 1 second. I want to try to get as much done as I can before I have to pause it. Alright, so let me pause. Alright, let me finish the pose out and then I'll try to explain a bit here. Alright, so let's look at this particular drawing really fast. So the first thing that I'm noticing that's still not accurate, like, I can't use this reference on here, sorry, but when I'm looking at my lines, I'm noticing that her body shape is like, give me 1 second, I'm gonna go get this figure really fast because that'll help me explain. Alright, so let me pull this up. So her body is kind of like this. And as you can see, like, there's a lot of curves here. And they're circular like this. And if you look at mine, it's not like that. They're flat. So that's like the first thing that I'm looking at is, and that's perspective, right? How do I get that as accurate as possible? So that's gonna fix that up a bit, but that then starts to tell us that there's going to be like similar curves throughout, and they're going to be about that sharp, right? So like the hands, they kind of fit. The knees don't, but part of that reason is because it actually is going to get, like, for instance, if we do, this body is basically a cylinder that's like this. And this is what I would recommend practicing too if you're really, really struggling with this, is just putting these simple shapes like a cylinder in perspective. And in reality, the view that I have, I think it's even more foreshortened than this view. It's probably more like this. So what that means is the circle gets even tighter, this bottom circle. So really fast, sorry. Cylinder, if we were to take it and flatten it out, is like if you're gonna cut it out, and oops, that's what a cylinder is kind of created of, right? So you have a circle on the bottom, a circle on the top, and then the rectangle in the middle. And if you the more you foreshorten it, so let's do, this is the bottom, top, and then the rectangular prism or the rectangle in the middle. So as you take your cylinder and as you foreshorten it, well, let's use this end. As you foreshorten it more and more, this bottom seemingly gets smaller and smaller. So that's what I'm seeing here, except for, like, in my image that I'm looking at, except I'm not replicating that well on this right now. So what that means is I need to take this back leg and I need to make it smaller. So I think actually this is closer to the image that I have. And you can kind of see that it works better. Like, let's look at the before and then the after. Before, after. So that works better. And that's because the cylinder, my brain, and this is what I drew first, right? My brain was thinking of that, but really it was more like this. So that's like the first rule, is like, if you're not doing it as like a gesture drawing and trying to do it quickly, I would recommend you make a shape on the side like this, like a 3D shape that's going to be a representation of what you're drawing, just to help you a little bit. And then you can go into drawing it. I'm trying to create that shape in my head and then go as quickly as I can. So that's why you're going to see stuff that's a little mismatched. But the next piece that's really important with foreshortening, like if I were to clean this up, which I can do really fast, is now you want to also make it very clear which things are being obstructed. Hey, how's it going, Mohammed? So yeah, now you want to make it pretty clear about which things are being obstructed by what, right? So for instance, I have a hand right here. So I want to make sure that this is visually, it looks like it's on top of the hip because it is, right? So you erase away stuff. For instance, this is going to be on top of this cylinder down here. So I'm going to make sure that that comes out clear as well. And then all of this for this hand is on top as well. So I want to make that clear. And what I mean by make it clear is you erase away the lines that are overlapping. And then you also can start to darken lines that are on top of the other lines, right? So for instance, I can darken this line, and just that little bit has made this area so much more clear. So I'm gonna do the same here, and then the darkest lines are gonna be the ones that are the closest to your camera lens. So for me, in this particular pose, that's gonna be the head, followed by this line here. Erase away anything that makes it confusing where that overlap is, and then we can get lighter and lighter as we go down. Alright. So we get this. This is going to overlap this bottom area here, and then you finally get the foot. And then over here it's the same. And then there we go. I want to make this, yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna bring this arm actually just slightly closer in. And how I'm gonna do that, just to make it easier on myself, is I'm gonna rotate it from the wrist to bring it in. Yeah, that feels a little better for me. It was just a little far out, especially for a female. And now I can round this piece out, and even like some of these muscles, right? Like I want to have overlaps with those too, so that it's clear like what things are on top. Again, that's what this is all about. This I can straighten up a bit. There you go. So those are like the main pieces of like foreshortening, right? You want to make sure that so I would say it's like let's see. Yeah, no problem. So if I were to tell you how to practice doing this, it would be like 1, general shapes, plus anatomy, plus what is proportions. But this if you look on my channel at like the first like last year around this time, if you start with those live streams, this is what I was working on. So those like these kinds of gestures. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, these are just the thumbnails. Sketchbook. Yeah, I can even go back to 2021 with this. So these gestures right here, this is what I was working on for this first step, right? And this was like months of me working just on this. I was doing it, trying to do it like every week like I do now. And then, so that's the first step. Step 2 would be like perspective, or shapes and perspective. You can work on these things simultaneously as well, but that's what this is here. It's you being able to like look at something and recognize like, okay, what is this shape and how is it, like, what's the perspective of it? Sorry, I just kind of found a little bit of another error that I wanted to correct. So yeah, how do you do, like, for instance, if I wanted to do a cube, like, you should be able to take cubes or rectangular prisms like this and like rotate it, right, in your mind, pretty easily. Let's take this one actually, and I'm gonna take this one and pull it up. That's funny, it kind of looks the same. I probably pulled it a little too far up, but that's okay. And then let's, I don't know, let's take it now and let's twist it further this way. Probably a little too far. Let's do a slight turn. Just stuff like that, right? You want to be able to like move things around in your head. So that's number 2, and then step 3 is now taking these two together. 3. Anatomical shapes in perspective. After you've gotten to this point, you're good to go. And these are simple, this step right here, simple shapes in perspective, and then more complex shapes in perspective, and then applying that to your figure drawing. And you'll be good to go. And no problem, you are welcome. Thank you for asking. Alright, so let's unpause this, and we can go on to the next one. Alright. Oh boy. I don't have tips for hands right now, but I will say this very soon, like probably this week even, and I'm probably going to be doing a few streams of hands, because my hands suck. I'm not afraid to admit it. My hands are really bad. I can try in just a second though to draw hands and talk about like what I'll end up doing, but my hands are really rough, so you'll have to bear with me. Alright, Alright, so this is going way in and then coming out, but I don't know how much I like that. Oops, I ran out of time here. Alright, oh, made that huge. I did not realize it's at 50%. Oh no! This is a really good pose too. Sorry, let me get through. Once I get to my next break, I'll try to do hands. Oh, we got a subscriber. Welcome, Road Warrior. All right. Alrighty. Alright, so I'm at a break. Hands. Alright. Alright. I'll embarrass myself on stream really fast. Alright. So, ooh, I'm gonna save this. This is a good one. Sorry, give me 1 second. I just want to save this somewhere. Alright, so hands. We will do some hands. Give me 1 second. I just want to pull this back up so I can see if you have any questions along the way. Alright. So hands are like bodies themselves, but you can break them down into like simple shapes as well. So let's start with like the wrist area. So the wrist area is kind of like, to be honest with you, it's kind of this shape. So it's like a rectangular prism, but it's a little bit more rounded. So you get something a little bit more like that. But we'll stick with this shape here. I think here. So the wrist also has like a little bit of a divot in it for where like the hand actually kind of sits and rests. So if like you look on my hand, there's like this slight arch right here, and that's kind of what I'm referring to. And then, so this is wrist. Then you get the hand itself. So it's like broken down into, I would say like two big separate shapes. The first shape is this piece that goes into the wrist and the palm. So it's my dog, sorry guys. So you get that shape, I guess there's more than just two shapes, but because there is the thumb. The thumb shape is like this, like wedge almost. That kind of plops onto the side here, and then you get like these like this flipper shape for the fingers, or each individual finger is just a subset of like ovals or like small cylinders. So you get something like this, and it's interesting because yes, your fingers have 3 parts, but you can kind of simplify it at first into 2, and then because they're the same size, like this first part of your finger from like your first knuckle to this knuckle down here that's attached to your palm to this first knuckle is basically the same exact size as the second knuckle all the way up to the tip of your finger. So that's why I was saying you can kind of separate it into 2 parts, and then after you've done that, if you need to like bend it at all, this top part that has the knuckle in the middle, then you can do that later. That'll help you keep the proportions accurate. So let's separate this into sections, and this flipper can go here for when you're doing, and then the thumb is like, sorry, I'm like jumping all over the place. The thumb has this wedge that fits at the bottom, and then it has again like 2 separate parts. Lotto. Hi, how's it going? And thank you for hopping on. And the thumb is also going to have, those 2 separate parts too. 2 like ovular shapes. So all of that is kind of what the hand is. So if we're going to take all of it and kind of put it together, you get, oh boy, I'm nervous. You get this for the wrist. Then you get the palm that's attached to the wrist. And then you separate this out like I did a minute ago into 4 segments. I guess we can do, let's put the thumb on this side. So this will be the right hand. So you get the wedge. And now, I'm not going to do well, actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll start with the flipper. So a good thing to remember is the flipper and the palm are about the same size, right? The flipper might be a little longer than the palm on some people, but typically they're almost the exact same size. So you can use the flipper as a guide for where things are at first, and the middle finger is going to be the height of the flipper. And now you can go ahead with that and separate this in half too. And now you can fill this up with your ovular shapes. This needs to be at the apex and then here, so. Alright, and now you can even separate this piece out if you wanted to, but remember the second part of the bean, or the second bean I should say, is the same size as the first. the index finger and your ring finger, it's hard to do, are about the same length. Some people, like for me, my ring finger is actually a little bit longer, but as long as you have them near the same length, you're good. We'll talk about hand movements in just a second. Alright, so we get this wedge for the base of the thumb, and then we get 2 beans. The first bean isn't going to quite make it to this knuckle up here, so I'm going to pull that back a little bit. And then your second bean is going to hit about the midway point of your index finger here. Alright, so now what's left, and I'll clean this up in a second, now what's left is to put in the knuckles and the tendons that all go towards the wrist. And that's the other thing too, is that your thumb is always going to be going towards the middle part, like this wedge shape. It's always facing inwards towards the middle of your wrist. Doesn't really, that's like the guideline of it, right? Alright, so add a knuckle here, knuckle here, and then finally knuckle here, and voila, we have a little bit of a hand. So what I'm gonna do, I always do this to myself, so let me sorry, give me 1 second, my thing stopped working. Alright, so let me copy and paste this onto a different layer. I'm going to erase away this layer. And go back in. Let me pull the opacity down on that. Alright. So let me get this wrist going a little bit better than it is. Alright. That wrist looks a little wonky. There it goes, it's a little better. Alright. So now I'm gonna take a sip of this, and then we're gonna try to finish this hand out. And then we'll do a hand reference from what I'm looking at. I'll do a couple because this is something I wanted to practice anyways. All right. So now we can kind of clean this up. I don't really know how I'm gonna simplify that. Probably just do the bottom here. Cool. Alright, I'm gonna, no, this is fun. Alright, so we have thumb. It's gonna be a little bit, I'm doing good, just popping since I saw you streaming. I appreciate it. Thank you. Alright, so when with your hand and like the knuckles and stuff, my recommendation would be that you over exaggerate a little bit of the area between your knuckles. So what happens with your fingers, here, I don't know if you can really see that, but it goes in right in here, and then out for the knuckle, and then in. My dog is not a happy camper this morning or afternoon. Alright, so if you over exaggerate a bit, you just want to make sure you don't do it too much. Like mine, I think, is like bordering on a little too much, but you just want to be careful depending on your character. So we'll say that this is like the hand of like a male character. My dog is putting himself in his cage. Alright, so let's go in, out, and out. This one doesn't look too great, so let me go back in. Alright. So we get this. I do think that this knuckle is just a little too far down, so I'm going to pull it back up a bit. Alright. And we get this. How do I want to draw? So I'll do out and in for the thumb. Alright. So we can take that away. That's a pretty ugly hand, but that's okay. We have the foundation, right? So now you can go in and do things like add some knuckle indication, the I think this is probably what's throwing off the thumb a bit. That feels a little better to me. But yeah, that's kind of like the foundation of like a hand, right? And the other thing too is like, yeah, I just gave you like a recipe to do a hand like reasonably okay. But that doesn't mean you should do hands from imagination if you don't know what you're doing. Like, you should always use reference. Like, I'm not going to really draw too many hands unless it's like the hands are just not really in the picture too much without using a reference consistently, because I suck at hands. So, and then the nail. If you want to draw the nail, I hate drawing nails because I don't know, I just don't like it. And some like indication of like where the knuckle is. Or if I want to keep the shapes like semi-consistent, and this hand's like kind of going away from us, so what I can do is do like an indication here, and then one kind of down here. And we take a little bit away, and yeah. Not too bad of a hand. Could it be better? Of course. They all could. But, alright, so let's do, let me check the, let's do one a little quicker, using one of the references I have here. So I'm going to draw this hand. So it's like a hand that is like facing away, kind of like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to draw this using and now that I know what the simple shapes are, right, I can simplify it even further by kind of not worrying about the 3D aspect of it as much when I'm drawing it. Worry about the simple shapes, and then I can go into doing it a little bit more simplified than what I did over here. This is like a semi-realistic hand, which I don't recommend trying to do for like manga work, just because it's just way too much. So one thing that's like really interesting about hands and how your hands work is that certain fingers kind of move together. So these two fingers, they typically, it's hard to have them, like, you can even see, like for instance, my pinky, if I pull my pinky down, my other fingers don't move too much. If I start to pull my ring finger down, my middle finger goes, right? And if I start to pull my index, it's fine. So I can move index and pinky kind of without really impacting other stuff too much. But the moment I try to move the ring finger or the middle finger, they start to move together. So that's something you can use as you are trying to draw hands to your advantage. So for instance, in this reference, one thing I'm seeing is like the hand is, it's like kind of oddly separated, and these two fingers are moving together a little more, which is fine, they can too, but I'm probably going to have the middle finger go a little bit closer into the ring finger than what this reference has because of what I just said. So let me go in here, foreshorten the thumb just a bit. And now I can start to and again, I want to keep my proportions in mind. I've made the index finger right there way too short. Even if it is falling like perspective a bit, it was just too short. Alright. And then we get, I'm going to move this in a bit. And I'm just looking again at the palm and thinking about how that the proportions work. This can go down a bit. Sorry, let me find the midway point here. And then the pinky is going to be down in here. Cool. Exaggerate a little bit of this like curve in here, and then the pinky I'm gonna take in here, and it's kind of got, this is the first one I think that I've drawn, not I think, that I know that I've drawn where both of the segments are bent there. So let me clean this up a bit. And I'm going to do that thing where I said I was going to exaggerate a bit of the knuckle pieces. Just to get in the structure of the finger a little bit more. it's not a great hand, but it's not bad, right? So we'll come in here, get a little bit of bone right in there. Erase this away a little bit. You know, I probably could take this here, and I'm gonna rotate it at this bottom knuckle in a bit because I think it's a little too far. And I can erase this away. Alright. And I'm not gonna clean this one up like I did the last, just because I don't want to take too much time just doing this one hand, but we got that. Let's do one more. Let's do. All right, let's do one where the fingers are kind of coming towards us. So this hand is like this. All right, so we will start with this cylinder, which is coming towards us a bit. So this is the wrist, and now I'm going to go over top of that. Actually, you know what? Let me go to this layer really fast. So now I'm going to draw on top this shape here. And it's actually going down this palm just a bit, probably a little less than what I have it. There it goes. Thumb is on this side, so we will draw our wedge there, and then we can I'm going to do a little bit of a flipper here. So now, since this is coming towards us, the fingers might appear slightly larger if they were all straight, which they're not actually. So now I can pull it a little closer, and it's going to be closer to the exact proportions that we're used to, because they're coming towards us, but they're bent up a little. And the thumb is going to hit right around here. Alright, so I'm going to erase some of this away at the bottom just to clear it up for me. Alright, and now we can go ahead and do the midway point, which actually is going to be a little closer than midway. So remember, out here would have been where it would have been if the hand was the fingers were straight out. So I can't really bend my arm and pull it up that way. So the midway point is not going to be the midway point between here and here. It's going to be the midway point between here and here, which is about here. So I'm going to pull this up a bit more. It's probably a little too right about there. So we'll get that in. And then we have here and here. Actually, let me stop being lazy here. So we'll separate out because it's a little bit more of a complicated pose. So I want to make sure I get this midway point in here. I think I have this coming out too far. Alright, so now here, this finger's going out, this finger's going to go with this one, and then the pinky's going out. That's another thing too, is when pull your hands out, the fingers, if you look at them, they're not straight up and down, right? they're outwards like this, and then these two are pretty straight up and down though. But these outside fingers go out, and then when you close your fist, actually, your fingers come inwards towards your palm. So that's a good thing to remember too for like a naturalistic look. All right, let me add. So the knuckles are here, they're just on the back side, right? So we're not going to really see them because the palm is facing upwards. Here, the pinky's knuckle is probably going to be a little closer to there, actually. This one's a little too far out, I think. There it goes. Alright, and now we can start to, I'm going to put in circles. Again, this is a little more complicated pose than the one I was just doing, so I want to make sure I get it kind of accurate before I start to like draw it out. Alright, so we'll pop in and I'm going to try to do this now. This one's going to be a little ugly, I think. Alright, so we have this, got this here, you get the knuckle, alright. So we got this bean is overlapping this back piece. It's a little tall, so I'm gonna shrink her down a little bit. Then we got this bean is coming towards us a lot, and then it's going back in space. Then we have this bean as well coming towards us up here. And then this one's actually a little off. I'm gonna put that in there like that. And then this one just coming like that. We get the thumb. Here. Alright, so the thing that I want to do now is I want to first, I don't think it's too bad, just really like accentuate specific parts. The one thing I did do kind of poorly is this needs to be a little closer in. So I'll take both layers and pull it in. Alright, so the hand's a little fat as well, so I'm going to take both of these. I'm going to actually use transform tool, free transform, just so I'm not going to waste a whole bunch of time trying to redraw all of it. So we'll squeeze the hand in just a bit. Alright. So now I'm going to go in and kind of do the pad of the hand. It's a little far up. Let me see something here. So this knuckle's gonna be in here. Get that going. Alright. And it's going to continue into here, and then we're gonna get this. this. I think the top of the pinky's a bit long here, so we'll get that going. I think I can point this a little more upward than what the reference has it. Maybe a little shorter, but alright, so now I'm going to take this and pull it inward a bit. I'm going to erase some of this back away now. I'm going to shorten this a little. Alright, and this one. I see what I need to do here. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to go towards the knuckle and I'm going to actually pull it that way just a bit more. Just because the angle that it was at wasn't quite accurate in my opinion. So let's go here. Alright. So now we have this. This needs to be shorter as well. All right. I think that I want the tip of the finger like right there, and this can come in a bit more. And this one, I'm just going to take at the knuckle, pull it that way a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna now, I think this will be like my last adjustment, and then I'll probably stop just because I think I'm only making it like marginally better here at this point. And this can be closer, but now tilted just a bit more. Sorry, I do want to make one last adjustment. Then I'll actually be finished. The way that this reference is, like, the middle finger is like flatter, like coming towards us a little less than the ring finger. I also do want to, yeah. It's also not the most natural hand pose either. Like, I don't think your fingers like really bend that way, which is probably why I'm struggling a bit. If anything, I think, just said I was gonna stop and then I'm gonna keep going. If anything, I think that they would be more like this. So maybe not the best reference to use actually. I think they would be more like, you know what, no, I'm gonna stop. I do think that this pose isn't quite accurate anatomically, like this drawing. I don't know if that's just me, because I'm not used to drawing hands, but there's something that's slightly off about this that I don't like. But I will go ahead and kind of do like a quick segmentation here. So that's that one. Again, that's the worst one out of all of them by far. And I don't know if that's, I think it's just because the reference, the tops of the fingers just look broken to me. It's really bothering me. I'd almost rather just make it a flat hand. Yeah, that feels better. Okay, so let's get back to the gestures. I have no idea how much I have left. I am going to take, there's like a 2-minute break. Hopefully, Ammo Comics, hopefully that helped. Ammo Comics, maybe. I'm gonna let this break time go for like maybe 20 more seconds, then I'll go to the next thing. Alright. Cool. Alright, so do I need another sheet? Not quite yet. Just go in here. I'm gonna do this pose. So there's several ones on this sheet as well. So I'm just picking one. I'll probably take some time to like separate them out at a later date. Yeah, what's up, Blacklist? Or Blackest? Blackest, sorry. Had a dyslexic moment there. That's a great question. Where can you go for good references? So it just depends on what you want to draw. Like, give me 1 second. Let me finish this up. I'll pause it and then I can give you a good answer. Where do I get good references for drawing? So Pinterest is really, really good for some things. Now, if you want to learn anatomy, I would recommend going on Google and just looking up bodybuilders because their muscles are so like crisp and they have like almost no body fat, so you can see all the individual muscles. And some bodybuilders, you can even see the strands of muscles, almost like this model that I have here. Like you can see her like muscle fibers. Some bodybuilders you can get muscle fibers and stuff from. If you want good drawings for gesture or good references from gesture, This is a pretty good site. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Give me 1 second. I used to use this when I didn't have the program that I do now. Now, I will say, just be warned, these models on here are nude, so I don't know if that matters to you or not. Alright, well, you can choose clothed ones too, so there's that. But that's a good site for doing gesture drawing. If you are, I would recommend whatever you want to do with your art, you find for portraits. Portraits. I mean, Google has like some of the best portraits you'll probably find. Let me try to find one that's like good for you for like actual references, and I can post it up on here. Because not all portraits are good. Something like this one is pretty good, and I'll show you why. Alright, this one still isn't great, but you want to look for ones that are kind of like this, and that's because like you have like a very clear cast shadow here, because you have a light source that's coming from here and hitting right here on this side of the face. And then you have you have an obvious shadow. I guess it's hitting, actually, because I can tell from here, it's hitting more so like right in here. And then you get this obvious cast shadow. That's what you want to look for when you're looking at portraits. Don't do portraits like, let me see here. Let me find one that's like not good. You don't want to do ones with like multiple lights when you're first starting, because it just gets confusing. Like this one is still like not too bad, but it's not great for what I would consider like beginner. So this one has multiple light sources. You got light, oops, let me get a different color here. You got lights coming from over here. You have lights right in front of her, and you can tell by the reflection of the glasses. So you have a light source here. You have these red lights coming on this side of her, and you even get some bounce light here. You get lights coming from the back. So there's just too many light sources here for you to be able to get a really good portrait in. And you also don't want to do one where it's like lighting from all over. Like try to find ones that have it like one light source hitting like the side of the face, kind of like oops, kind of like this one. This one has one light source, and you can kind of tell because she's got one glare in her eye, right? And it's consistent all the way throughout the drawing, like where it's coming from. It's coming from like, I don't know, it's almost coming from like how we're looking at her face. If you were to look right here, that's pretty much where the light source is coming, or going to, I should say. So yeah, that's my recommendation for that. What do you search on Google? Sorry. I just looked up like portrait photography. You can also look up, let me see if I can get a good Google search for you. Head Portrait Studio 1 Lite. It's maybe too much. Yeah, I mean, this search isn't bad. Let me see if I can get a better one for you. Portrait Studio, maybe. Let me just do photo head reference. Head reference photo for drawing. Let me see what this does. This is not a good search. Head reference photos. This is difficult, actually. It's a little more difficult than I anticipated. This one's pretty good. So, here, this is what let me see if I can copy and paste this search for you. This is what I searched. Let me see, does that bring it up? Yeah. These are pretty good. So you can search that, and that's pretty decent. Alright, back to the gestures. I'm going to actually open up a new gesture sheet. Yep. Again, make sure you're just finding ones that don't have a whole bunch of lights on them. If you can see an obvious cast shadow, like I showed you a little bit ago, then those are the kinds of ones you'll want to use. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right. Oops. Let me go back to black. Let's zoom in a little more. I'm going to twist his pelvic region a little bit more towards us. Let's do this one. Oh, Pinterest also might be a good spot to look for good references for that too. I think I was starting to say that and then forgot. Sorry. for like portraits. Pinterest has really good stuff on it. I always forget about it and then I like remember. Thank you, I appreciate it. I'm glad that you enjoy them. I enjoy doing them. It's nice to talk to y'all. I had no idea I found this reference. It's a pretty cool shot. And I can erase this away. I have a little bit of time, so. Alright. This is a cool shot too. So I'm gonna actually try the method of doing. Alright, so it's something like that. Okay. I just wanted to try to get a very quick reference shape in before I start, because this one is really, really foreshortened. So his head is still in between the feet. So the feet are going to land right in here, a little lower. Okay. Jeez, I'm butchering this poor body. This is not coming out well. I definitely need to work on these views when I get the chance, because I struggle with them. It's because it's a view that we don't see very frequently as humans. How could I fix this quickly? Probably doing this. Actually, let me just do it this way. Yeah, that's good. Much better. Oh boy. this one is, I probably need to get rid of this reference. It's super blurry. Actually make this a bit bigger. All right. Pretty much all she wrote for that one. So alrighty. Just got my arm hurting. Okay, so I think if I were to guess, his hips are here. I think they are slightly coming towards us. His knee is up here, so that means this leg is coming up. And I think with this camera angle, this is the one I struggled with last time too, because this is very, very foreshortened. Alright, and then so foreshortened, in fact, that the hand appears bigger than the lower leg almost. Alright. Almost done here. This is like a fish eye lens like thing going on. This is interesting. Let's do this pose because I really need to work on these angles badly. Alright, so we get here. I kind of want to look that one back up and finish it, and then we'll wrap up for today. All right, yeah, I want to like finish and correct this one because I'm not getting as much out of the ones that are foreshortened, but things are going away from us that I would like. Just because it's an angle I always struggle with. So we're gonna finish this up and I will be done. I think I just need to probably shrink this down quite a bit. Yeah, I really think that pretty much did the trick. And then this leg can be made smaller this way, I think, and turned a bit more. Because maybe even longer actually. Alright, and that's because the perspective here is like this. So that would mean I also need to, because there's an obvious thing going on here as well. Kind of wish that cape wasn't in the way. Alrighty. Well, that's gonna do it for me for today. I'm gonna I've said that and then immediately wanted to change something on this guy. Alright, let me do this last little thing. Alright. I think that's gonna do it for me for today. So I'm gonna try to do another stream next week sometime. Probably around Wednesday. Either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday is when I'll do the next stream, and then hopefully do another Saturday stream. But for all of you that hopped on, I appreciate you all. I hope that you learned something, and I will see you in the next one.